everyone. Well, this is my story. When I was 8 years old, my class went on a field trip to see the Florida Philharmonic. And I guess it was a special performance for schools, school children. So they played a lot of stuff, they catered to their audience and played a lot of cool things like the Star Wars theme. And I fell in love with the flute. And so when I went into 6th grade and I signed up for band, and I was really excited about learning the flute. Unfortunately, band was not a good experience, and I eventually dropped out. And unfortunately, the bad experience really tainted my enjoyment of the instrument. And for years I kept it, hoping that I would feel what I once felt. And by the time I was around 38, I was like, you know what, I've had this thing for years, and I've never felt the same way again. So I might as well, sell the thing and let somebody else have good memories, and rather than just keeping it around where it's just collecting, well, it wasn't collecting dust, it was in its case, but it was actually quite beautiful. But so I sold it. And then I turned 40, and I was dreading turning 40. But 40 has been kind of nice. A lot of issues that have haunted me for years have finally kind of started going away. And one of them was my bad experiences with bands. Suddenly they didn't affect me, and all of a sudden I wanted to play the flute again. And I was kicking myself for selling mine 2 years ago. But I asked for it on my Christmas list, and my mom managed to find me one. And I feel the way I did when I was 8 years old and seeing the Florida Philharmonic. But unfortunately, it opened up another problem. You see, musical instruments need to have a yearly checkup, just like people. They need to get oiled and see everything's in working order, And the place I used to go to had went out of business. And then what was even worse is that I guess the economy is not really, it's been hard, and, band and music programs are kind of considered an unnecessary expense. So a lot of them have, I guess, been cut from school programs. And as a result of, there's not many kids now that have instruments. We don't have, I guess, a great enough need for technicians. So there's not many places that service instruments. And the ones that are around, they are very far away. And when I called up one, because I'm thinking, well, it is just once a year, it's an annoying drive, but I'll do it. But when I called up the place that was closest to me, they were saying, well, the guy doesn't work for us all the time. He's a freelance guy, and we have to chase him down, and then we have to find a time when you can bring it in, and he's going to be here. And, that didn't sound very encouraging, So, my other option when I was looking at it is to send the flute away by mail to be serviced by, there's several companies that do it. But, that was kind of a scary thought. Most of the time your post office and UPS, they do a good job. But, your mind's always going to those few times when they don't do such a great job. You get a package that's filthy, looks like somebody's used as a soccer ball, looked like Hagrid sat on it. And I even had a package where somebody had vomited on the label. I was amazed that I got it at all, because it smeared the address. But, that was really gross. And you're thinking, not only am I sending an expensive instrument to a place, I'm also hoping it'll come back to me in one piece, So, it was a scary thought. And I'll tell you, I was thankful that I just play the flute, because I can't imagine if I was in this predicament and I played a tuba. Can you imagine sending a tuba in the mail? And I had wanted to learn to play the cello, but, if there's not enough technicians that, service instruments, you know, I don't want to send a cello through the mail. So I was thinking, well, I may have to rethink the cello. So all this started thinking, you know, I wish I knew how to do my own instrument repairs and maintenance, you know. How does one learn that, you know? So I just out of curiosity, just to know what all my options are, I started looking. Turns out there are online colleges that'll teach you instrument repair, and there's also a few places that, you know, there's manuals that teach you how to do it. And so one place called J.L. Smith Company sell kits for you to learn how to, you know, so you can be self-taught. But then there's another problem. What do you practice on? You know, I don't want to practice on my own flute, because when you think about it, how many things do you do that you get it right the first time, you know? I mean, whether you're learning how to drive, whether you're learning an instrument, whether you're learning how to write or do math, you know, or cook, you have usually your initial disasters. And the problem is, you practice on your own instrument, then you might cause it to be unplayable. And you might permanently damage it. So I started realizing if I was really seriously going to consider this, I was going to have to invest some money up front to do this the smartest way you can possibly do it. And one of the things I wanted to do was get an instrument I can practice on, not mine, you know. So I went to Goodwill, the online site, Shop Goodwill, and fortunately I was able to get a flute. This is it. And I got it pretty cheaply. And it looks really nice, but it's actually broken. I suspect, from what I've been reading of that book, that I have an air leak. It's this key that's a problem. Well, actually, it's either one of these two that's a problem. Because I can play other notes as long as it doesn't require these two. So I suspect those have an air leak. And I think the cork is also loose. But, it's kind of nice because it's already broken. So, I'll know when it's a lot nicer to practice on a flute that's broken because, well, for one thing, if I'm successful, then I'll know it because then it'll start to work. But I also feel less guilty working on something that's broken than something that's healthy, and, So I bought that, and then I bought the Valentino Flute Fix Kit from the J.L. Smith Company, and it comes in a handy carrying case. It's $185, so as I said, you are going to be, I guess, you're going to want to make sure you really want to learn this if you want to do it. It's one of those things you invest money hoping it'll save you money later on down the road. So, anyway, so it comes with this carrying case. I don't know what all this stuff is yet, but it's supposed to help you do the basic 80% of the problems most flutes have. How to fix them. So it comes with instructions how to do the stuff. And it comes with a butane torch, and I don't know what all this stuff is yet. It comes with tools I guess you're going to need. This is a chart. Well, it's not a chart. It's a board. Apparently, when you're doing flutes, you have to be careful to, a screw goes, you can't interchange the screws, they go where they're supposed to go, so this is a board to screw in the screws so that you keep them with their, where they are supposed to go. And then there's a bag, comes with a replacement cork, and Q-tips, and razors, and a lot of stuff, I don't know what it's used for. Comes with pads and shims and more tools. a key gauge height, Sharpie pen, and the squares, a feeler strip holder, key oil. Now this kind of ticked me off a bit. They'd show you how to replace the cork and do replaced pads and all this, and then I was hoping they would give you about how to do oiling, and they said you should leave that to a professional, but we're giving you key oil anyway. So I was like, oh, for God's sakes, you teach me how to remove the cork and take it apart, and, you can at least teach me how to oil the damn thing. But I guess that key oiling is apparently very scary. Most instruments that are damaged by their owners apparently are due to over-oiling, so I guess nobody really wants to touch that with a 10-foot pole. So, but there's YouTube videos on it, so, okay, and you've got shellac, and you've got contact cement. This looks like another pin, but it's actually a little nifty holder that has various little tools that you'll probably need, probably used to take those little tiny screws in the bottom. Also comes apart and has another tool. And this, I think, is used to remove the cork. And, oh, we've got a cute little stabby thing here. Okay, and then we got this. This is the mag light. This is kind of cool. Kind of all Christmassy. It kind of looks like that suction thing that dentists put in your mouth, but this is apparently to help you find air leaks. You stick it up into the flute, and depending on how much light comes through the holes, from what my understanding is, you can see if there's an air leak. So, if I don't do this, I spent a lot of money, but my feelings is, most things in life, you get something out of them, even if you fail miserably, It's always interesting. What I've gotten out of it is a greater appreciation for the flute, knowing how it's constructed and all the little problems. I don't know. It's given me, if nothing else, even if I can't do it, it's given me that and a greater passion about music and instruments. So it's already worth its money as I feel it. Whether this kit is a good bargain, I'll have to let you know about that later on. I was a little ticked they didn't go over oiling, but other things, some of these other tools will come in quite handy. So I'll do a later review of telling you about my progress, whether I succeeded in doing it or not. I figured, if I learn how to do this, then I'll share my knowledge, and if I don't, then I'll share about how not to do your flutes, or how not to fix your flutes, or, leave it to the professionals, So I'll let you all know how this turns out. Stay tuned.